I'm really excited about today. It's going to be less talking, and we're going to just kind of jump right into the meditation and really give ourselves space to feel the frequencies that are available. Country Lane. Yay, you made a live. Oh, from Maine. Oh, Maine is so gorgeous. Thank you for letting me know. I'm like sing-songy today, so that's what we got. um, Yay. So I'm going to give a couple more minutes for people to drop in. But as I was saying, oh, and turn that off. So sorry about that. And so everyone can hear me. It's good sound. I'll turn this up. Hello, hello. So let me know in the chat if it's faint or if you can't hear me. So today, and really this next few days, is a very special portal for many different spiritual cultures, but also specifically for the Buddhist. This was and is a celebrated time and portal that's always the full moon in May. And it celebrates when the Buddha had his enlightenment. Some sects say it celebrates the birth, the death, and the enlightenment, but it's really about the awakening and when the Buddha took his ascension process. And then many different spiritual cultures, more in the New Age culture, there's festivals that go on all over the world, celebrating the time where what it would be in like the shamanic, the ahanic pacha, or the upper realms, but in the higher frequencies, the higher astral planes, the higher etheric realms, the multidimensional realities can come closer. So there's this opening in a portal for these divine beings that are always assisting us, but there's only so far they can come into this physical density because they're at such a high vibration. So, for example, there are certain beings. I've worked with the Hathors for years, and there's different dimensional beings that there's like 12 dimensional Hathors. It just kind of gets heady, but and then there's fifth dimensional. And I'd be at different workshops, and it really took a certain vibration, a certain frequency, that we all got into a certain state of coherence with vibration and frequency that allowed the higher multidimensional beings to be able to come and influence the space, offer healing, offer guidance. And so this is really a boon for us as humanity to be able to receive the blessings of the illuminated ones, the ascended masters. They say that Shambhala just moves a little bit closer to the density of the earth in a way that allows for more potent communication and in healing. And I feel that I've been at many different Wesak retreats, meditations, and I have really had profound experiences of being able to, in a way that goes all the way down into the body. So that it can be that we receive blessings, we have communications, we can feel the higher frequencies, right? So we're saying illuminated being, ascended masters, but we can break it down to the frequency and energy, right? And sound, light, frequency. That's just what makes up in all of existence. And so, since in this third density, we are operating with the illusion that matter is more than frequency. But what we know, even from science, is that, we are 99% space and frequency and energy, and like 1% matter. But the way that the illusion works with our brain is like we believe in the tactility of reality. And so it's so easy, as we all know, to get so enmeshed and fooled even within our own experience, even if we know intellectually that is energy frequency is so much more potent, powerful, but also available than matter, than the density of the 3D. It's like we're living our lives and we have our personalities and our emotional body and our mental body are creating all sorts of stories. So this is a time that we get to let all of that go, and we get to really experience ourselves as frequency light beings that is filled with information, our DNA, being able to align with the true form. I was listening to this really great podcast, and it was talking a study about the Essenes a bit. And, back in the day when humans were really about um, the potential with the average lifespan was hundreds of years. And so from the scene perspective is that the more that we get sick, the more that we're not in our immortal form is an indication of the fallen self from God. And so what is that from? That's first century language. So what is that now? And so when we are not attuned to light and frequency and to who we are as these multidimensional beings, at love at the center, then we become sick and our body breaks down. And so when we are operating with prana, like we know this from the different Eastern masters that cultivated prana in a way, whether it's from the Indian background or the like the Taoist, immortals that lived hundreds of years, is because they have found the pathway and have found a very structure through their practices, the ancient practices that allow them to really live what they're, in alignment with what the Essenes would say, in alignment with God. They hadn't fallen from God. They hadn't believed in the animalistic nature. And so, what we're doing in these meditations every week, and particularly today, is we get to attune to our godlike nature. And so what that means is we are attuning to the space in our being, which is 99% of our being. We're attuning to the light and the frequency, and then receiving these blessings from these beings that walk the earth, and one of my root lineages is Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, and I went through the Kriya initiation. So it's a pretty intense process to get initiated into the Kriya process. And that lineage is Babaji, the immortal yogi, Lahiri Mahashaya, Sri Yukteswar, and then Yogananda. And what in that process, learning about these different pranic exercises um, to increase your sushumna. And I talk about this a lot in all the meditations of the central channel where our chakras are. So we're always going to be working with the chakra system. We're always going to be working with our energy body, because the more we can strengthen the energy body and attune to the quantum field, which again, first century language, the field of God, then what we are doing is reminding our physical form that the density that has been passed down now for generations, that we can return it to that original state. We can return into the self-realized. So from Yogananda and that lineage, it's like the self-realized state, at one with, when they say self, they don't mean the little s, right? They mean the oneness, the atma. And so it's such a powerful reminder that we can have these meditations, have this community, and remember together, when one or more is gathered in thy name, there's a power that happens then when we're just in our own spaces. So, one thing that I always like to come back to, because I think the why can get lost sometimes, and then it's empty space, empty experience, is always like, why are we tuning in? Why are we tuning in to the Ascended Masters? Why, when we're working with the Violet Flame, when we are tuning into the priestess archetype, when we're working with Mary Magdalene, Isis, what is, besides it being a lot of spiritual glamour and a lot of spiritual personality, like what's the why behind it? Because here we are in the 21st century living life that nobody else has lived before. We're about to go, we're in the age of technology and AI and going to navigate that as humans and humanity. And so it's like, what's the point? I always kind of go back to that. Is like, what's the point? And the point being that, again, especially in moments like this, portals is like, how can we in our density, right? So personality, we have our fears, we have our judgments, we have even if, again, intellectually we know in oneness, we live in separation, we live in that duality, right? It's so easy to say that the neighbor who's annoying you because X, Y, and Z is separate than you. That's just part of the path of being human, and then writing that relationship to a duality. And so, it's been a long journey. I've been on this journey for a very long time in this lifetime. And, I've gotten, caught up in the glamours and the ascended masters, and not that, I love the ascended masters, so I'm not saying that, but like when we get into the spiritual glamour of things, right? And it's like we do all the workshops or we do work with a violet flame, but then, we're an asshole to our partner, right? And so it's that kind of like, there's a disconnect there. There's a disconnect. Like, how do we really embody love, and how do we really embody truth, awakening? What does that even mean? And so the why for me, and I hope to share with all of you, is my why is always, in this human form, in my human life, when I am out at the grocery store, when I am talking to my family, or the times especially that I can get triggered, airports, how can I hold the frequency of love, the frequency of home, and the frequency that changes a room, right? That be the blessing, be the prayer. So today, when we are opening up to receive and be able to sit in the blessings of this Wesak portal and the blessings of these illuminated ones, how is it landing in our nervous system? How is it landing in our chakra system? So if we are tied up in our third chakra, if we're having digestive issues, or if we have anger, whether that's like we don't speak up or we speak out, without consciousness, then letting the light, letting those higher frequencies and blessings go into the places within our system to provide healing in a way that allows for us to be able to hold on a day-to-day basis our true nature, our Buddha nature. This is also called the Buddha Day in different Buddhist cultures. And so what does that mean, right? It's living from the illuminated mind, the illuminated self. And so, of course, we can show up more than there are certain situations in our lives that we're really good at showing up in the illuminated self more than others, right? When I'm with clients or holding ceremony, it can be a lot easier than when maybe some family dynamics come up. So it's really about changing our karmic patterns, changing our genetic lines to be able to hold that frequency that truly is changing generationally, and allowing for yourself and for those who come after you to be able to hold the frequency that allows for that immortal self to be more embodied. So I said I wasn't going to speak a lot, but that wanted to come through. So here we go. Let me know if you have any questions, or if anything that just like lights up for you in that understanding. And I'd love to hear in the chat before we get started. And can y'all hear me? Okay, so if there's no comments or questions, we're going to get started here in a second. And let me pause for a moment. So one more thing. Oh, awesome. Yay. One more thing is, as these different days and different portals, and tomorrow is the full moon in Sag. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and then Jupiter is conjunct Venus. It's a lot of support right now in the cosmos. And so, what is Jupiter? Jupiter is that planet of expansion, and so, calling forth those places within you that really are ready to expand and to be able to hold the magnetism of your true nature, and being able to take agency, not just like in a way of like agency in the personality, like I know how to stand up for myself at work, but agency in terms of your own evolution, and your own creation. And so there's a way that within this portal and this time period, we talk a lot about, or I talk a lot about timelines and shifting timelines. And a lot of people talk about timelines. And like, what does that really mean? Again, I'm always kind of that like, what does that mean? And like, how does this apply? Not really, and and so there's this feeling of like, what is timelines? First of all, if we break that down, and timelines is just a shift of frequency, right? It's like we're all in the quantum field. Like right now, I have the illusion that like I'm in my, temple space in the basement of my house. I'm on this computer. You're doing your thing, whatever you're listening to, and it just feels very dense, right? Like it's like here's the computer. It's very solid. And so when we start to really tune in every moment that we're conscious of more into the frequency, more into the field, the quantum field, right? So we, again, language, quantum field, 21st century, first century language is the field of God, right? So it's just like same. And so the more we can change or tune into the quantum field, again, timelines, and getting back to that, is the more that we are seeing like what has the most frequency, what has the most power. So that's where we're talking about timelines. It's because right now you yourself are on a timeline. You are doing X, Y, and Z, and it's the culmination of all your samskaras, all of your karmas. And so there's that cause and effect. And that means in your everyday actions, like as we know, like if we're an asshole, we're going to get assholeness back. If we are loving, we're going to get loving back. And it's a culmination. So it's like those conscious and unconscious energies that are informing our reality. And so when we're talking about timelines, it's more of what have we fed, the most out of these different timelines. So if I just go about my day and go about my life without consciously working to transform, transmute, and alchemize density into higher frequency, then no problem. Like I'm just gonna still like the what are those things called at the airport? The those conveyor belts. All right. I don't know. The things that you walk on, right? And it's like you're still going to go through life, and the experiences are going to happen. You have choice. You always have choice. And so those are going to determine, but there is a power behind that timeline, right? So it's just, and it's what most people on this planet of like, I think it's now 8 billion people are just on that conveyor belt. And when we choose to every day tend to that inner world and say, and then when we're, doing our daily life, tune into the frequency of love, tune into the frequency of God, tune into that quantum field of all possibility, all light, all illuminated, the illuminated mind, right? Then we are feeding that timeline. And so all of a sudden, it's like these synchronicities can pop in because it has a vibrational match. Right. And so when we talk about timelines, and I will get to this meditation, it's particularly important to feed the timeline. We know this. It's like, okay, it's like feel what you want to feel to manifest things. It's not like a mental plane. But when we are feeding this other timeline that really is beyond our understanding, so future timelines, that's where I'm going with this, is the future timeline of the illuminated self, right? So the illuminated self, your future self, the one that's hanging out in Shambhala with all the ascended masters, like they've already done this. You've already done this. Like it's already there. And so we are collapsing the space, the illusion of space time into this present moment. So in this meditation, the reason I'm bringing this up is what we're also doing. We are receiving the blessings of the illuminated ones, but we're also receiving the blessing of your future self, future being a personality, understanding, because we need to understand, or the mind needs to be able to understand. But it's really the self that always is. And the moment that we can really get that this lifetime is such a small point, like a pinprick on the longevity of our beingness, the more that we can merge with that future illuminated self. A little bit of a circuitous way of saying, part of this is going to be also tuning into your future self, which is really the self, the immortal self, the one that has not fallen from God, from the Essene language. Okay, now we really are going. So thank you all for being here with me. I love seeing, Myrick and Savannah. Woo woo! Yay! This is fun. Awesome. Thank you all for being here. And next week we're going to be, before I go in, because I don't want to talk at the end, next week we are going to be going into like deeper practices of energetic hygiene as a way to, again, anchor in the illuminated self. So if you need to, just take a moment to get comfy. To a place where you can really relax and receive. And as always, we're going to begin with the breath. So becoming curious. Just where's your prana? Where is that life force that comes into the body and then initiates the breath? So even though I say tune into the breath, what we're really saying is, how is the prana behind the breath? Again, thank you all for being here. Andrea, I know your name's not Country Lane, but I'm just going to say that. Hillary. And then becoming curious, how can you get a little bit more intimate with your breath? Bringing all of your awareness, all of your attention into that holy moment that the life force, the prana, comes in from the crown. And that's when the breath, the inhale, happens. So the energy is coming down into the crown while we expand, taking our inhalation. And we're going to exhale, feeling the energy. The prana goes up the spine and out the top of the head on the exhale. It's a little bit different than you might be used to tuning in. So you're going to inhale. The prana comes down the central channel, nourishing the chakras, the nadis, these energetic pathways that allow for grace, for higher frequencies to land in your nervous system. Exhale, prana goes up the spine, out the top of the head. And with each inhalation, prana coming into the body, if you can sense how your cells, the atoms, light up with the light frequency of God, of prana, life force. Beautiful. Just going to do a quick scan, saying hello to our root center, the base of the spine. From the base of the spine, saying hello to the center of the earth. Pachamama, Mother Gaia, Holy Sophia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This divine being offering herself to life on this planet. Bringing awareness back to the root center, the will to be. The center taking all of the ancestry, the survival. When we transform this enough, it can hold the light of our star selves, the will to be in form. Giving our root center some love by our presence, our breath. And moving up to the sacral center, our womb center. Our holy of holies within our bodies. Birthing new realities, beings, creative projects. Letting prana fill these two lower centers with light, frequency. Moving up into our solar plexus, place of fire, our own internal sun, how we digest life, emotions. All the different ancient cultures knew this center specifically had to be so strong, vital, healthy, to transmute and alchemize the density of this 3D third density. So saying hello, giving love, feeling the prana awaken with light, the center. Up to your sacred heart. The second holy of holies within our energy system, connecting us to the divine, to our innermost truth, and that Christ light within. Breathing in, feeling the prana come into the front of the heart and the back of the heart. Seeing if you can tune in to the field of the heart. Feeling the toroidal field all around this center. Letting the light of the divine wash over your sacred heart. And moving up, saying hello to our throat center, place of communication, expression. Being able to express the desires of the heart, the truth of the illuminated mind, and let go. Receive. Breathing in 360 to this center. They can get pretty contracted, especially in women. So allowing the field of the throat to expand with that prana coming in on the inhale, lighting up the thyroid, the parathyroid. And then moving up to the third eye, the ajna, the output at the point between the eyebrows, but connecting deep into the brain, to the pituitary. Letting the whole brain connect to that field of love, the field of light, the quantum field, the field of God. Clearing out this place of vision, of clear sight. As we move to the top of the head, to the crown center, letting the petals unfurl. The top of the head, receiving the energy of the divine, of our true selves, in from the top of the head, connecting to the pineal gland, the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Each breath, brain, and then down into the whole body, the central nervous system, lighting up with this golden energy as we prepare to sit in the field of the illuminated ones. We tune into our soul light, the 8th chakra, foot above the head, known in all cultures as the intermediary between the divine self and the human self. Connecting the soul light to the top of the head and the soul light up to the heart of the divine and to the great central sun. frequency of the divine coming into all your system, letting the aura, your biomagnetic field around you start to fill. Tuning into the great central sun, the cosmic sun of our universe. Into the Buddha moon, this blessed portal. Tuning into the frequency of the illuminated teacher, the ascended master that particularly has a healing for you. It's a gathering of Shambhala coming closer to the earth. But what frequency for you at this time in this third dimensional reality wants to be offered? Allowing your frequency, your field to start to expand, relax, to be able to open to receive this higher frequency. Present, relaxing, receiving the highest frequency of love, of healing coming in from this portal of Wesak to the full moon, opening the gateways to this higher dimensional reality, feeling the cosmic blessings come all the way into your field, and relax. Receive the blessings all the way down your toes, the cells, your DNA lighting up with its true nature, the strands of divinity. Now tuning into your illuminated self, your future self, the one that resides with these illuminated ones, the you that already is in Shambhala. Already in the great compassionate light. Open, receive. Does she have anything to say or impart? What would it feel like for you two to be one? No separation. Stay present. Receive. Taking these next couple minutes to allow these higher frequencies of Wesak, the illuminated teachers, frequency of love to come all the way down, just a little bit more. Where in your body lights up for this healing, in your mind. Merging just a little bit more with your illuminated self, your future self timeline. And into the now, into here. And thanking your future self, the beings that came just a little bit closer today. Feeling gratitude in the heart of the truth of who you are. A walking prayer. You are the medicine. Start deepening the breath, feeling all the way down into your toes and your fingers. Feeling the space around your body. Feeling the weight of your body in this present moment. And slowly coming back to this third dimension with a changed field, a changed mind, more illuminated, more full of love. And slowly come back. And as always, you can keep your eyes closed if you want to meditate more. Let the energies process through you. If anyone would like to share, to just anchor in any insight, any experience, you can do so in the chat. And it's very, it's subtle and powerful. So as always, drink lots of water. You might want to jot some things down in your journal that came up. I was meditating this morning and there's a lot of energy there. It's powerful. So I encourage you to keep tuning in to today and tomorrow, this time period, this available communication of receiving and tuning into these higher frequencies. That again, the why is so we can really embody the higher principles of our own divine self in form. Love, forgiveness, the illuminated mind, where our field gets so strong and so resourced with the true nature of who we are, that we are not affected by going into any situation. In fact, we are the living prayer. By going into any room, not even having to say like, oh, I'm doing this, you don't have to hang a shingle outside your door. But your presence changes. It changes the frequency of those around you. It provides healing. It provides warmth. And it's those times and those moments of the invisible grace, that we're not having to be like, oh, I'm not posting a selfie on it. some weird culture, but that our presence is the thing that folks need, even if it's on an unconscious level, because it's not us, right? Like the whole point is being that hollow bone, being that way that the energy of light, the energy of love can really work through us. And as we know, and I know, uh, y'all, it's so good to see folks haven't seen or hear, look at the faces in a while. Know that it's not, this path isn't for the faint of heart, because when we really choose to be that vessel of love and transformation and the walking prayer, our lives will really strip away and purify anything that keeps us from that alignment. So, if you're new to these meditations and really feeling in the shift that's happening, because so many people, oh my goodness, so many people, even if they're not quote unquote on a conscious path, are feeling that, something is afoot, and we can really help, um, help be a grounding rod for people, because times are intense, as we know. They're going to continue to get intense, and it's truly the time to walk the walk. And that's all I have to say about that. But thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful. And if you're watching the replay, thank you as well. And pass this on to anybody that you feel would enjoy it and benefit. And one thing that, for those who are still on here, is I'm considering, oopsies, that's not what I wanted to do, playing around with time. And if you're watching the replay, of when is a good time to host these meditations. So I'll be sending out an email, or you can mention in the comments, blah, blah, blah. Left brain isn't quite on yet. When would be a good time, whether it be a little bit earlier or a bit later. And yeah, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and have a beautiful day. Enjoy the full moon Sagittarius. I have a Sag sun, so I'm always like, I got my tank top on. It's finally warm here. Yeah, it's a good moment. So Hillary felt so much love, release, comfort, and support. Beautiful. So glad. Michelle, yay, Michelle. Okay, I was like country lane. Golden orbs of alignment and illumination. Beautiful. Yeah, it's like, okay, like what is this? What are we bringing in? What are we tuning into? And how we can keep transforming the personality mind into, I'll say, into and back to the place where we really can hold the frequency, of that God self, of the self actualized being. So, all right, I could go on and on and on. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you next week. And have a beautiful rest of your day.